let's try an example on for size. Now, let's say that you have worked towards reducing your packaged foods and you're thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do about bread because I love the bread. Here's the thing. If you experiment and you go to a website like, there's one that I absolutely love and it's called All Day I Dream About Food. If you go to that website and you're looking for substitutions in probably just about any area that you could think of, and you're thinking, well, I'm going to experiment with a type of bread. Maybe it's a muffin, or maybe it's a savory bread. They have all kinds of recipes there that will fit the bill. And so all you have to do is just experiment with it. See, is it plausible that I could release myself from the attachment here with this white bread or wheat bread, or I don't know what other kind of breads are there these days. I don't even remember anymore. There used to be a type of bread that I think it was made with oats, and that was probably the favorite one that I like, had oats and nuts and I don't know what else. You can still use nuts and all of those different recipes. Find one as you go through, like in a website like that, alldayidreamaboutfood.com, and see what fits the bill right now. What could my brain get on board with that seems like something that would be good? You could experiment with sugars like stevia and erythritol blends, like pyura, for example. You could actually experiment with allulose. There's so many different ways that you can experiment with these types of, if it's looking for like a sweet bread that you're looking for. Now, the bread that I was referring to was like a savory bread, like the oat bread. There are so many different recipes that you could just experiment with and try it on for size. If you don't like it, then try something else. That's okay too. Try a different kind of recipe and just keep going. You could do it with pizza. That was a big thing. My other example was, because I thought for the longest time, this was probably about 6 years ago, after I'd lost, 93 pounds and was holding relatively steady for several years. And I thought, well, I can implement pizza again and see like how it actually works for me. Well, pizza is bread, it's wheat. I don't know what else they put in it, leavening agents and, a whole bunch of others, tomato sauce and all of the other kinds of meats. And I don't know what all of the processed meats like have in them. I would have like a couple of slices, and then I would have these awful like palpitations for like hours. It would happen to my husband too, for hours afterwards. Just completely activate the sympathetic nervous system. And it was so uncomfortable. Sitting in a chair, it literally felt like I was doing a high intensity interval training session for like an hour. It was just awful. So I kept thinking, I said, okay, well, it's been too long since I've had pizza, but I'm going to have to get to the point, and it could take a while for some of us, because some of us are a little bit more stubborn than others. Takes one to know one. It took me a while to say, okay, here's the thing. I need to eliminate this from my foodways. And how am I going to do that? Well, the easiest way to do it is, instead of just eliminating something, is to find a replacement for it. So I experimented with a lot of different types of pizza crusts, whether it was combinations of mozzarella cheese with almond flour and like the whole like recipe, or I can't think of all of the different variations, but I have a lot of those recipes downstairs. But I just kept experimenting until I found a texture that I liked, until I found something that my brain went, this is tasty. Yeah, this is good. I really like it. Experiment with the levels of salt and pepper and garlic and Italian seasoning. And then when you've nailed that, it's really not that difficult to let the other thing go. But that's how I did it, was just making the decision. And even if I didn't make the decision, it was like contemplating and saying, okay, brain, we know that we don't feel good eating this food for whatever reason. So let's find a different way to create this that I enjoy and that my husband enjoys, and then let's make it into something that's delicious and something that feels good when we eat it. Anything can be modified at any given time. Anytime. You're not stuck to any one protocol. You don't have to adhere to any one protocol. You're not breaking the rules if you do it your own way. In fact, I think you should do it your own way. I think that's the only way that this will work. But I want you to get used to releasing this dieting mentality. I think I sort of understand why they say that, quote, diets don't work. And it's really because a lot of us have really adopted these ideas where they're really restrictive, and we eliminate entire food groups before we understand the reasons why we're actually doing them, why we're actually eliminating them, why we're doing it. And maybe we listen to someone else who said, carbs are bad. Well, are they bad for you though? I mean, they don't jive with my system, but are they bad for you? And I don't mean the term like bad, but can you digest them? Do you get normal glucose reactions to them? Are you hungry? Do you have food-seeking behaviors? And this is not about diagnosing or like any of that, but I'm just throwing out some questions out there to get you to think about the different ways of which you can implement something that works for you. And it doesn't have to just be, well, I listened to this one person and this is what they said that I should do. Well, try it on for size, see if it works, and then be okay if it doesn't. It's not that that person was wrong. It's not that they got it wrong. It's not that you found the Holy Grail or someone else did. Just try it on for size. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, that's great too. Doesn't, that's okay. Because everything is an experiment. See everything as an adventure and know that everything can be modified at any given time. It's called free will, right? So release the dieting mentality. Think of this as, I'm doing this right now because I feel good. I could change it in 6 months. I could adapt something totally new. I can adopt something totally new in 6 months, or 9 months, or a year, or 10. It's up to you. But I want you to ask yourself one question every single day. Here goes. How do you want to feel today? Say to yourself when you wake up in the morning, first thing, how do I want to feel today? Do I feel energetic, joyful, playful, focused? And then ask yourself, what habits will get me there? What habits do I have now will get me there? What habits do I need to implement to get me there? You could also journal it out if you want to. That creates extra intention, brings the focus right into what you're trying to achieve. At the end of the day, this is about being deliberate in your thoughts. This is about taking it to the next level and thinking about, what do I deliberately want to create? I want to be intentional in my creation of a healthy body. I want to be intentional about my habits. I want to be intentional with the food I'm eating. I want to be intentional with the actions that I take that support the goals that I've outlined with the desires of my heart. Be deliberate in your action. Everything that has ever been created started with a thought. And the creation of your healthy body is certainly no different. All right, that's what I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to share it with someone that you feel would be inspired by it. Send me a note if you have a question. Feel free to comment below. All right. Hope you have an amazing day. Make it a vibrant day. We'll talk soon.
Sure.